live on the recording. As soon as the stream finishes starting up. Okay, stream has started up. And since it started, close that down. Don't need it open anymore. Don't need that one open anymore. And then record. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Story of America with me, your host, DeAndre Page, and Rhett Williams, our co-host. Today we are streaming on the weekends as we usually do, and we thought this was we had this in the works. I never did get around to doing it. Um, but today we're going to be doing our political compass test. This is a different one, isn't this? Isn't it Rhett? A different one to the one we did before, but
Oh, I
nonetheless,
think this is the same one.
is it the same one?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Like I thought we had to log into something for the one we did before.
Mm, I don't think so. I don't know.
I thought we actually had to spend money on the last one.
No. You're thinking of something else.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the personality test. That's what I'm thinking of. The personality test that we did. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this here, and uh, I'm gonna read our questions out. We're both sharing our screens, so you'll be able to see everything, and we'll compare our results at the end. So it says here, we'll read this out. It says, before taking the test, please note that this isn't a survey and these aren't questions. They're propositions. To question the logic of individual ones that irritate you to miss the point. Some propositions are extreme and some are moderate. That's how we can show whether you lean towards extremism or moderation on the compass. Your responses should not be overthought. Some of them are intentionally vague. Their purpose is to trigger reactions in the mind, measuring feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions on policy. So, we got 6 pages to go through. So, just a few propositions to start with concerning no less how you see the country and the world. So, looks like our first page here. The very first question, I think this is probably one that Rhett and I will probably will probably have the same answer. Well, we'll probably have the same answer on a lot of these. But the first question says, if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interest of transnational corporations.
I think that's pretty. I mean, if it's inevitable, then of course you know, I think that
If it's
it should serve.
if it's inevitable, I would say for the for the individual, or for
Yeah,
humanity. But
that's the only
I'd
kind of
agree.
globalization that I would actually support. I just don't think it's possible. But according to this question, it's inevitable here. So,
I'd agree, but not strongly.
yeah, I don't really know how else to answer that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
in the same boat. Let's see here. The next question says, I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong.
I'm going to strongly disagree with that.
I'm going to disagree. I'm not going to do strongly disagree, but I'm going to disagree. I think it's important that we have a sense of um of support for our country, but when the
Yeah,
country is clearly
but that's
wrong,
all. But the scenario is you can criticize your country internally, but you would never do it to a foreigner.
yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking. Like in my head, I I would disagree domestically, but when I go abroad, I would definitely not uh be doing things like that to besmirch the country abroad.
Yeah, it comes down to just loyalty, but it's not. Other countries don't necessarily need to be knowing about our internal affairs
That's
unless we
true.
share them.
That's true. If other countries know your internal affairs, they get to divide you and take over your country, similarly to what China and Russia are succeeding at doing with our pathetic administrations in office right now. So, the next question is, No one chooses their country of birth, so it is foolish to be proud of. I disagree.
It depends on
I,
what they mean by proud, but gut reaction is I disagree with that, but you don't want to take it too far.
yeah, I don't think you would take it too far. But at the end of the day, I think here in America, it's much more different for us than it is any other country in the world. I really think so.
Yeah.
But I still think
Um,
that if I was born in another country, I would still be proud of my homeland, just despite its shortcomings. Now, the next question says, our race has superior qualities compared to with other races. See, this question stumped us on the last time, I think, because it says our race. What is our race?
Human race.
If it's human race, then hell yeah, we're better than
if
everybody else.
I mean, they don't tell you what they mean by when I first read it, I just assumed
I, I
whatever your
strongly
race is
disagree.
that the
If
person, but like my automatic reaction to that is like, that's not okay.
Yeah, I strongly disagree. I don't see race when I see superior qualities. I see individualism, and I see myself as superior to everybody else. So that's all that really matters, because it's true.
Okay. We can move on.
I mean, you might be close to me in that realm of superiority. Just you're a
I don't
peg,
think um, I'm smarter
you're a
than a lot
peg
of people,
below
but
me.
I'm not better than a lot of people.
I'm better than everybody.
I could say that.
uh, the next question says, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend."
I
Hmm.
definitely disagree with that.
I disagree. I disagree because
The Soviet Union ended up being our enemy, even though,
yeah, even though they were also the enemy of our enemy, the
yeah. So
Nazis.
that's a prime example right there, Exhibit A. That's clearly just because they're helping you temporarily does not mean that they're your friend.
Exactly. I think it's always important to keep your eye on the money, which is the end of the day is a different way of saying keep your eye on the prize, on what really matters, and it's not working with your friend or your enemy. It's trying to get your goals across, and eventually, you and that enemy are going to butt heads.
It's
Next
inevitable.
question. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified.
I think I actually think I agree with that
I'm thinking the same too.
because what international there where does international law come from? It comes from like the UN, but currently we actually don't have we have an anarchy of nations on earth. There's no government that's above all the governments. Therefore, the international law that it can be easily broken because there's no government that's actually putting it out. They're just
You know,
attempts. And it
I
could
think the
be
the
ridiculous
vagueness of this
sometimes.
question inspires a lot of thought because there are instances in which I would say the military action that defies international law would be justified, but there's other cases where you'd say no, definitely no. Like if we agreed to the Geneva Accords, we shouldn't be violating that. But in many cases where you have the enemy is clearly violating it, sometimes you have to go against what we have set aside in order to face a greater threat, you know? So I guess I'll agree with that. Next question. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment.
I strongly agree with that. Our
I
politics
don't
has
know if
become
I,
pop culture and everybody thinking that everybody is trying to get political now, especially these people that are still on late night television, like Stephen Colbert or Trevor Noah. And a lot of times they're wrong on purpose.
you know, and when you say it that way, it's worrying. But when I think about it, I say it's not worrying to have comics be involved in information so long as the information is relevant and accurate.
Oh
And
no,
we see
it's the
we see that with
fusion
the
in and
Odd
of itself.
Twins, we see that with
Yeah.
with other comics.
The fusion in and of itself is not the problem. So maybe I disagree with that because I'm not worrying about the fusion. I'm just worrying about the information that's being disseminated by certain individuals in the entertainment industry.
So that was a tough one. I'm gonna go disagree, but I can agree at the same time. If
I
I
wish they
wish there
had
was
like
an
a
in,
neutral.
yeah, I wish there was an in between. Uh, a a
Yeah, usually
neither.
I've said disagree in the past, but if you talk about each of these questions long enough, you'll be flipping back and forth.
I wonder. I told you I was afraid to take this because I figured like they're gonna push me over to the left if I because I was so dead center last time. Who knows? Maybe I might become more authoritarian this time. We'll find out. Um, Now the economy, we're talking attitudes here, not FTSE index. Okay, so the people who make these tests don't know anything about the FTSE in the first place. But let's go on anyway. It says people are ultimately divided more by class than nationality.
I
I
strongly agree
strongly,
with that.
yeah, I strongly agree. Uh,
That's easy. Okay.
yeah, we don't even have to discuss that one. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment.
Mm.
I think they go hand in
No, I
hand.
don't think so because controlling inflation usually leads to more of it. And that's what the Federal Reserve's job is to control inflation. But of course, they're the ones increasing it. I think
Yes,
it's
and
probably more important to control unemployment because to what degree the government can actually do that, if more people have jobs, then I don't know. I think that's ultimately when you try to control inflation, you just end up causing more.
yeah, I mean, you take a look right now, the Fed is about to they're about to raise rates again, and that's going to destroy the employment sector. It's going to destroy your bank accounts. I mean, you thought we couldn't get any worse than we are now, and if the Fed raises the basis points by another 75 points or another full one point, that's one full another percentage added to the interest rates, we're going to be in
And,
a recession guarantee.
and imagine if,
And
let's
that's
say,
coming.
inflation gets to a point where it's out of
It's
hand.
coming. It's inevitable. I expect it to happen next month, actually. So I I I'm gonna go disagree. I don't know if I'm gonna strongly disagree because I think that controlling inflation is important, but there's much more damage in trying to control inflation than there is in trying to control unemployment. Uh, next question here. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Strongly disagree.
No, I do understand that because some companies have, just straight up, it's like the free market that doesn't necessarily account for all, like, there's been cases of companies just dumping toxic waste into rivers. And
Yeah,
if you could
I
trust the,
I can understand that, but for me, the way I think is think of it this way. Walter Williams did a very good example when he was doing a video for Prager University a while back, where um, when we were dissatisfied with the actions of companies that were doing things that we didn't like, we stopped purchasing them, and they were going bankrupt. And then here comes the government with their regulations, and they bailed them out. So now they took our ability to determine whether that company survived or not right from
yeah, but
us.
that's not really so much about like trust at all. The free market it's not built on trust, it's built on incentive, economic incentive.
Yeah, but the problem that I have with this is not so much the trust, it's the regulation. I think the regulation causes the problem with the corporation, not so much the trust of the corporation to be voluntary itself. Because at the end of the day, the corporation is voluntary because they have to provide a service that people will be willing to purchase. And then if you start putting regulations on that, they no longer become voluntary to us. They become beholden to the government, and they don't care about us at all.
Okay, I think you sold me.
I wasn't trying to sell you. I don't want to change your
Well, I
answer.
mean, the thing is, my answers have changed over time because every time I read this stuff, I think of the question or whatever the proposition in a different way. So, you could there's such short sentences that you could interpret them hundreds of different ways.
We're probably doing the test all wrong because since it told us not to think about the questions very much, but that would be a pretty boring video. So next question says, from each according to his
I
ability
already know.
to each according to his need is a fundamentally good
It's a
idea.
terrible idea. I strongly disagree with that.
Yeah, me too. Everybody should get exactly what their hand gets out of life. You work hard enough for it, you get what you get.
I hate when people say, "Oh, communism is a good idea on paper." Like, no, it's a stupid idea on paper. You don't want
Yeah,
to. You don't want to get what you work for. Is that what you're saying? You want somebody else who didn't work as hard to get the same things you get?
yeah, exactly. The sad part about it is this right here, for each according to his ability, is the basis of our constitution. It's the basis of our religion. If you really want to think about it, is you reap what you sow, and our
That's definitely
constitution.
not the same idea.
Well, and you go by our constitution. Well, our Declaration of Independence, should I say, the pursuit of happiness. You don't get to this point without actually putting in the work to get to that happiness, the pursuing part. And in our religion, so to speak, uh, everything that we get through
Oh, I'm sorry.
our work and
I
dedication.
misunderstood what you were trying to say. Yeah, you're right. I thought you were saying the opposite.
Yeah, it sounds tough when we say reap what you sow because it's always used in a negative light, but it's a positive
Yeah,
thing.
well, it could be either way, but the thing that always gets me is when people try to make out like Jesus was some sort of Marxist. Like Marxism is completely antithetical to Christianity. There's no group
Yeah,
guilt. There's no everybody's guilty on their own individually, but in Christianity, you're an individual, not a group member.
and they always seem to completely uh forget that Jesus taught more about money than he did anything else.
Yeah, he
He
wasn't
did,
basically saying you need to give your money to the government so they can give it to the poor. He's like, you need to take that on yourself. You can't have somebody do it for you. It doesn't count then.
okay, so this one I think we also agree on. The freer the market, the freer the people.
Of
I strongly
course.
agree.
I mean, that that's what markets are for, right?
Yeah. I mean, what was it? What was it that uh what was it John Adams that said it? No, Benjamin Franklin who said it. Um, that government at worst, at at best, is a necessary evil.
Yeah, I think that was Benjamin Franklin. Um, but the free, like the idea of the market, the free market is, and actually money in general, it actually gives us the ability to demonstrate where we would place our value when given the chance freely. And that's the thing about
Exactly.
free markets. It actually helps to create a decentralized system of determining, it outsources our value determinations to the broader world.
Yeah, and not only that, but it also does the regulation of the private sector far more efficiently than the government ever will be able to do.
Yeah, because you can't just, it's because the wisdom of the masses will always exceed the wisdom of any individual.
100%. So the next question says, it's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottle branded consumer product.
I think this is stupid. I strongly
I
disagree
I
with
disagree. I
that.
strongly disagree with that.
If somebody's willing to pay
Because
for it, fine.
somebody was willing to make it more convenient to people who don't live near a large body of water that's been purified
You know,
and made drinkable. I mean, come on.
it's a perfectly legitimate business. If you're willing to pay for it, I'm fine with somebody selling it.
Yeah.
Basically,
I mean, you're going to
And
say that
we
it's a
always have bottles of water here anyway, so I think it's pretty convenient.
you're going to say it's a bad thing to have bottled water when, yeah, when people have died in droughts because they
Yeah,
didn't have any
this
water.
is freaking ignorant to say that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Uh, Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought or sold.
again, of course, I
I
strongly disagree with that. That's stupid.
disagree.
If somebody wants it, then they can. This is not some Native American spirituality like, oh, the land just belongs to everybody. Like, no, it belongs to whoever
Hell, even
who
the
can
Native
actually defend it.
Americans, they didn't believe
Yeah,
in that.
they went around. No, that's just a myth, a modern leftist myth. They conquered land that was held
Just
by other
like
tribes,
everybody
just like,
else.
yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, this is the more uh reasonable and civil version of that. What do you want us to do? Okay, let's not buy and sell land anymore. Let's just go kill anybody we want and take it.
Well,
Let's do it the old school way.
yeah,
I
those
mean,
days are over, at least
what
in
do
the
they want?
West.
Okay, so it
That's
says
what
it is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. I strongly
so that's
disagree with
strongly
that.
disagree. I don't like the framing of that question.
Yeah,
They
it is a
simply
pitiful
manipulate
question.
money. It's like, however they can make their money, that's fine with me.
Hell,
But they're
if I'm
they're doing
investing
more
in the
than
market,
manipulating
I'm not
money. It's yeah.
manipulating money.
It's
I'm not
just
manipulating the currency by investing in the market. I'm taking advantage of the same thing that the people before me did, and I'm working at the same time, which is contributing to the society to get the money to put into the market to invest.
you can tell that a leftist
One of my
made
favorite
this
things,
test clearly.
you know, like we were talking with Alden last night, and you said to me when I told you I go on those all black panels all the time, and you said to me that you hear the things that people call me. You know, one of the favorite things that I've been called by a leftist is a class trader
Yeah.
because
Well,
I invest. Because I invest and I don't want to be poor. I'm betraying my
like what the
class.
hell? You could do it too. Why are you being poor? Why are you
That's what
not
I
taking it?
said. I said what? Because I want to take advantage of the same thing the rich people are taking advantage of that
As if we
everybody has the
somehow
ability to do.
as if we
That I'm
somehow
just
owe
supposed to be
loyalty
poor
to
forever.
our as if we somehow owe loyalty to our economic caste. Like, no, everybody who's poor doesn't want to be poor. That you don't owe any
And
loyalty to poorness.
that's the problem with poor people. When you have a poor mentality, you want to bring everybody down to your level instead of bringing yourself
Yeah.
up.
They're like, you left the hood, man. You betrayed us. Or
You know what?
in the case of Native Americans, you left the reservation.
That's
You're
the
better. You
truth.
think
That's
you're
the
better than
truth.
us. That's
It's the
exactly how it
truth.
is.
It's the truth. It's what happens when you leave and move out of the ghetto, and you live and you wind up living in a white suburban area that's safe, and there's no gunshots going off. It's like, oh, you betrayed us, you whitewashed Uncle Tom. It's
Because you're
like, no,
not
I
living
didn't
in.
betray you. I just got tired of you bastards shooting bullets through my fucking window.
Yeah. Maybe I don't want to live in a war zone.
Yeah, maybe I actually want to live through the night. Okay. So the next question. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on who you are. Like if you're like a third world country, then maybe it is.
I can agree and disagree, but I think when you get in that area, that adds a level of regulation onto it that I think makes the trade less valuable. The more risk that's involved in a trade, the more lucrative that it is. But
I think that
in
protectionism
certain
could increase the probability of war happening between
Yeah,
powers.
that's what I'm saying too. Now there are already methods in the market that that can protect you in trade value. For instance, if you're investing in a market clearly on mutual funds or on stocks and bonds, after a while, when you've accumulated enough wealth, you could easily put that into an index annuity or an equity index annuity, which will cap you at that particular amount at that index. And if the market crashes, you're protected because it's like a bond, it's like a debt. Before everybody has to declare bankruptcy, they have to pay you first because you've been indexed. Now, if you just kept it at preferred stocks and other things, you'd be paid last. So there's no money for you when the bankruptcy is done. So there are already ways that you can be protected in place. Um, so I mean I can agree, but I can also disagree. I really wish there was a neutral. I'm gonna go
Okay,
agree
like
just to be on the side of
people
caution.
criticize Donald Trump of being a protectionist because he wanted to cease the trade, and of course that was untrue. But I think I disagree with it because it could lead to violence. So anyway,
The only reason why I'm agreeing with it is because I can, as an investor, I can see a need for it, but honestly,
I
we
don't think.
already
Wait,
have
hold
that
on.
in our
Well, let's go
market.
back. Protectionism. What are you thinking that means?
In my mind, I'm thinking protectionism means a regulation to reduce the risk of losing everything.
No, no, it's protectionism in this context because it's talking about trade is basically isolating yourself from foreign markets so that your your internal economy um, and people who work within your country are able to okay it's like we send our factories over to China. That's the opposite of protectionism.
Oh, so you're saying protectionism is like protecting our intellectual property
No,
and
it's
making
like
sure
it's protecting your homeland economy from foreign competitors.
I can agree. I can still agree then because
But if you do, the only problem I see with it is it, first of all, it requires government regulation. Second of all, it could, companies or countries that trade with each other are less likely to go to war. But at the same time, I understand wanting to. That's why I said in the context of a third world country, it might be a great thing. But in the context of a world power, it could be detrimental. See, this happens when you analyze these questions way too much.
I see what you're saying, but I'm still gonna go with agree because I do genuinely believe that. Uh, I mean, and a lot, like you said, a lot of people would say that Donald Trump was a protectionist for trying to make free, fairer trade deals. But I think the mindset of protectionism,
You know what? I think
not necessarily the class,
I
the thing
yeah,
itself.
I think I get it. Um,
It-
I think maybe it is sometimes necessary. That's the key word, sometimes. If it
No,
was
not like
always, I would say disagree.
yeah, yeah. I would be disagree if it was always, but I think in circumstances like what Trump did with the USMCA uh over NAFTA, that was, I guess you would say, protectionism, but it was done in a way that was effective for us because the last deal was so horrible for us that we were losing money left and right. Okay, so next one, the only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders.
So, I, a gut reaction is I would say agree, but it adds the word social responsibility in there, not just
Yeah,
responsibility. And a social responsibility is actually a responsibility to the wider society as a whole.
yeah, that's what makes me, my gut feeling says disagree because I believe that any company that's successful understands that their responsibility is to their shareholders, but it's also to their consumer. And on a social level,
To
what you
provide a
do as a
good product.
company affects your consumer.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just gonna go disagree. The rich are too highly taxed.
So I've answered this in the past with a disagree because I don't think they should be taxed more, but I don't think they should be taxed less. Um, but I guess it depends on what context of taxation you're talking
I
about.
think I'm gonna go yes because hear me out. Right now, there's more taxes on the books than there are that we recognize when it comes to those. So, for example, a business owner has to pay income taxes, federal taxes, business tax. property tax, employee tax, and a slew of
Okay.
other taxes. And not to mention, then they also have to pay for the taxes on the group health care plans, on the unemployment insurance taxes, all of those other crap. And at the end of the day, somebody who's retired rich, if they don't have an estate, they have to pay estate tax when they die. 40% of all their earnings goes to the government when they die. Uncle Sam just comes in and strips you of all of it. You don't even get to give it to your kids. And then you have some nut jobs like Elizabeth Warren that wants to make that over 50%. So I do think they're taxed too high. I would much rather try to eliminate a lot of the taxes and then tax everybody at the same rate. Like
Be
there's a
right back.
plan that that Ben Carson had. Let's see here. R- Okay,
We're
so
still on page 2, man. It's almost 9. Okay.
yeah, but it's the weekend.
Yeah. I still got to
I
get up early.
I forget you're an old man.
I still got to get up early to go to the early service at church.
Let's see, I do mine on Zoom. Let's
Anyway,
see.
let's
So
let's continue on this.
those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care.
I
I
don't
strongly agree.
I
You
don't
know,
really have sure. Why not?
if you've got the money to get the best quality, why should I be punishing you for it?
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Uh,
Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public.
Um
You know,
should the free market do it or should the government? I suppose the government
that's
can
my
take
thing. The free
faster. The
market
government
should
can
do
take
it.
action quicker than the free market can, though.
Yeah, but when the government does it, you know, it's so strange because the government they did do that. They said that Parler misled the public, and they
Yeah, I see what you're
penalized us
saying.
and took it down. Like,
You can't
no,
you
I
can't
think the
necessarily
free
trust the
market should do
government
that.
to be the arbiter of truth, and that's a danger always.
Yeah.
So
So I'm gonna go disagree because I think that government government's role in business should be bare minimum. At the most, it should be just to enforce uh, the law as it relates to harassment and other laws that protect to protect individuals. But getting involved in public and penalizing businesses, no. For misleading the public, I
next,
think they can
a
penalize them
genuine.
for other things for
The
breaking
next one
federal law.
makes maybe more sense.
A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multi multinationals to create monopolies.
I had to agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I strongly agree because the free market doesn't require restrictions. The free market can create that restriction. But I agree, and I would love to see our government actually enforce the anti-monopoly and antitrust laws we already have on books. That would be wonderful. Now, now to look at some of your personal social values. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal.
I disagree with that
I agree.
because I don't think in the case of rape, I don't think that the government should have the ability to force someone to carry that to term. But that would still get rid of like 90% of all abortions, and maybe more than that. But
90 over 99%.
that's the only exceptions that Well, if first of
because
all, if the woman's life is threatened, that's not considered an abortion. An ectopic pregnancy, that's not the same.
yeah,
But
that's a life saving medical procedure.
but
The only reason why I'm agreeing is because the fact is that right now abortion it's not even done for what they say it's done for. You know,
I know I think
less
elective
than
abortion is terrible, but
less than 0.0001% of all abortions are incest. Less than 0.2% of all abortions
oh, I didn't even
is
mention that.
rape.
I know that. I know that, but I think those should be fine. That
And I
means I'm
think
still
and that
against the vast majority of abortion.
I also think the numbers came out that less than 8% was due to emergency medical procedure. So 90% of the abortions are done just because they say fuck the baby.
Yeah, I think that that's important. Anyway, but the reason why I'm saying because this doesn't mention rape, and I think that should be an exception. So I'm
You know
disagreeing with
what?
that.
I'll go disagree because of that point. Then, just because it doesn't mention rape and it doesn't mention the incest thing, which I don't even classify incest. I think rape is the
No,
only exception
incest is
because
not as
incest.
bad as rape because usually, unless it's incest rape,
Yeah, if
but
it's incest rape, yeah, but it's
if
still
it's
just rape.
consensual incest,
But
then no.
consensual incest, I mean, yeah, you're fucking adult. You know what's going to happen. But if your brother raped you, then that's different. I mean, it's rape. It's incest, but it's rape before it's incest. You know. I don't,
It's rape cest.
yeah. I mean,
Any,
let's not say that
let's
anymore.
proceed from here.
We might
No,
get kicked off of all of our platforms.
probably.
Who gives a fuck at this point, right? Uh, all authority should be questioned.
I strongly agree with that.
I disagree. I don't want to say that all authority should be questioned because I think this is the reason why we have such feckless little pussies in our generation right now because they question
They're not
everything.
questioning the authority.
They
No,
they
they're
they
not. They're
question
going
the only
along with it.
authority that matters. They
Biden. They
question
don't
their
question
parents.
Biden. They no. These people, they are establishment henchmen. Anyway,
They question their parents, and that's the problem.
I'm not
And
gonna
then they
try
look.
to
Then they look to the authority to replace their
I
parents.
think it's fine to question authority, but that doesn't mean I think it's fine to rebel against all said authority.
I
But
think it's
I don't have a
perfectly
problem with
fine to
questioning.
question authority. I just don't think it's fine to question all authority.
I do. My mind's never going to change on that.
You are
So
rebellious, you. Uh, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
disagree.
I agree. It depends on the situation. You know,
Well, this is just in general. I don't think that that's always appropriate.
yeah, but
And
it's less
that's also
vague to
biblical as
interpretation.
well. So I'm it's actually this is Old Testament law that Jesus came and fulfilled in the Gospels in the Sermon on the Mount. But the reason why eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth was actually put in place in the Old Testament was because it's customary for human beings to take a head for an eye. Like to go overboard and not have the revenge to be equal or the punishment to be
Yeah.
equal to the crime. But I just disagree with it because it's, I don't think it's our place. I don't think it's always justified.
I'm thinking of it on a personal level, on strictly a personal level. Because remember, this is about our personal social values. So
Yeah, but I
I'm
don't
only
take revenge. I never do that because it's pointless. So
I don't take revenge, but I definitely do think that, let's say, me as a martial artist, if encounter in a situation where being able to walk away clearly is not an option, an eye for an eye.
that's not the same though.
Yeah, but it can be.
It's no self-defense is not the same as this. I don't
I
wasn't
don't
even
think
thinking of it in that term.
that. I mean, that's where my mind went immediately. Okay, taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial. I agree.
I'm just gonna say agree and move on because I don't
I
want to.
strongly agree.
I'm looking too much into these, and if whatever.
Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Uh,
I think honestly, at that point, it's up to the parents to make sure the kids go to school if they don't want to. But
yeah, I
making the
can agree with
government
that.
force the kids to go, I don't.
I can agree with that. I think they should follow the same policy that we do in college. You get 3 days or you get expelled. You know, all people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind.
All right. I'm
I
gonna
don't know
say I
how to
just
answer that.
disagree with that. I really don't know how to answer it either because they're not making it plain what that means. So I'm just gonna say disagree and move on.
Yeah, me too. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children.
I think that's fairly obvious.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. I'm
Spare the
not
rod,
strongly
spoil the
agreeing. I'm
child.
just agreeing
I
plain.
strongly agree. These leftists need to be beat. It is natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents.
Well,
I
yeah,
agree.
I think it's natural, but it doesn't mean it's okay, but it's natural.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense.
Obviously.
I disagree
You
only
you can't
because
honestly come up with a good argument for that, honestly.
no, I
A
disagree, and
criminal offense, that's a
the
waste of
re,
resources.
the reason why I say that is because it depends on where you use it. If you're doing it in your on your own property, on your own home, okay. But if you're doing it
That's
someplace in a
now
public area
a
where somebody's
criminal
gonna be injured,
offense and a civil offense are two different things. A civil infraction is like a ticket. A criminal offense is you're going to prison. That's absurd.
if I
I'm
just
not
kept it
trying to.
at
I don't think that that's really consistent or
if I
even
kept it at
logical.
just possessing, you know, I'm just gonna go disagree.
Whatever.
Yeah. I'm
Doesn't make any.
I'm
That doesn't
never
make any sense at all. But
I'm never going to be in favor of the legalization of it.
even if
I'm not.
someone could make a perfectly logically coherent argument that would make things better than they are now, you still wouldn't. That's
I would
just
never. I would never support it, but I would not. I would actually, like I said before, I would not give my vote for or against it. I would just abstain from it and let everybody else make their decision. I just personally wouldn't.
whatever.
I personally
Let's
just
move
wouldn't use
on. It doesn't mean it has anything to do with you and personal use. It has nothing to do with you.
it. It has everything to do with me.
Whatever. Let's just
Compromising
go. Move on to the
compromising my
next one.
belief. The prime function of
No,
schooling should be to equip the future generations to find jobs.
disagree.
I disagree as well. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce.
Disagree. That should be a personal choice.
Yeah,
You
I
can,
think
I can't
we
in my
can't
right
dictate
mind
other
say
people's
that
lives.
that's eugenics, basically.
Yeah,
And the problem with eugenics is, first of all, it's morally wrong. Second of all, if you homogenize a genetic population, it will lead to its destruction.
yeah, exactly. And no, but and some people say, well, you're forcing diversity. Well, no, you're not. Yeah. Let's just move on. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. I strongly
I
agree.
don't know if it's the most important, but like,
Well, yeah, not the
uh,
most important. So I'll go down to agree. But they definitely need to accept discipline.
yeah. Oh, the next one.
There are no savage or civilized peoples. There's only different cultures. This one stumped us last time too.
I strongly disagree with that.
I now strongly disagree because some people are just evil people
Some cultures
who
are
can't
better
blend
than
with the
others.
culture. Yeah, like I'm better than everybody else.
That that's not what this is about. There are some cultures that are better than other cultures. Like the
That's true.
Western culture is the best culture in the world.
That's true.
Some cultures, it's
Americans are the best
customary
people in
to,
the world.
you know, in Afghanistan, it's customary, it's part of their culture to rape little boys. That's
Yes.
savage.
Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not accept society's support. I sort of agree.
Expect, should not expect. I would say, yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you have the opportunity to be making the same amount of money that I am, why should I be paying for you?
man,
When you are troubled, it is better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things.
I think that that's a stupid idea. I disagree with that
I
because
agree with it.
if you let it build up long enough, it could easily turn into something that it's just not thinking about things does not solve them. It delays the solving or it delays the problem and just builds it up over time. It's better to just get it over with, deal with it now and not
I agree with you
distract
on that
yourself with
part.
other stuff.
I agree with you on that part, but I honestly believe that if you have things that trouble you, like say for example, what you're thinking about is something that is detrimental to you, like a problem of addiction, it's better to replace those thoughts with other things that will replace that.
That's not my interpretation of the question at all. But anyway, let's just move on.
First generation immigrants can never fully integrate within the new country.
I
I
disagree.
disagree. I
It's
strongly
possible
disagree.
for anybody.
As a matter of fact, first time immigrants who come here legally tend to be the most American of us all. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us.
Disagree.
I disagree. No broadcasting such institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding.
I strongly agree with that.
Yeah, I'm going to strongly agree with that
Wait,
too.
yeah, no, because that just leads to state media and propaganda.
Yeah, especially with what we're trying to do right now with our company. I think it should be grassroots, be paid for by people who want to view the content.
A
And this is
wider
how we see the
society.
wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I
Strongly
strongly
agree.
agree. The Patriot Act is a prime example.
The National Defense Authorization Act. Obama executed American
It's
citizens without a trial. I mean,
yes, and then now you see what this administration is trying to do. They're trying to take more of our liberties, and they're calling us the terrorists now.
yeah, and then trying to set up Ministry of Truth and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, a significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system.
I actually agree with
And
that. That is a benefit. It is an advantage, but that doesn't make it good. Like the
that's
Chinese
true.
Communist Party, they can
But
do whatever they
but
want.
how,
There's
but
nobody to.
how do we answer this though? Because I feel like if we answer strongly, it's going to make us leftists.
I'm just reading how it is. Like that is an advantage of a one party, well, democratic political system. Oh no, I
In a
mean it's
democratic
just that's
political
just
system, no.
yeah, but it delays progress. And dude, I don't know. That is an advantage of a one party state, though. That can't be denied.
It, it's the purpose of a one-party state, if you ask me, to delay
So
progress of the
I'm just gonna.
opposition.
I have to agree with that, but I don't, that doesn't mean I support a one party state.
Uh, I'm going to agree, but I feel like this
Maybe
question is
we
going to
should.
push us into the left quadrant.
I don't think so. I actually think I've put that before because it's just face value, but that doesn't mean I endorse it.
Although although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried.
Strongly disagree.
So do I. Everybody needs to be worried at this point. I don't mean that you need to be paranoid, but you need to be concerned that they have too much ability to spy upon you. The death
Dude, they could
penalty
be literally watching us through this webcam right now. Although we are
probably are.
broadcasting online, so it's fine. But
The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I
so
agree.
I disagree with that. But the only reason I don't support the death penalty, I think there are plenty of crimes that will make you worthy of the death penalty. But I don't want the state having that power because the state will end up inevitably executing innocent people, and it has happened.
I
And
agree with
so
you on that point,
I
but
can't support it because just because of that, one person is too many.
strictly speaking, on the most serious of crimes, I can agree with it. But I disagree with it for the same reasons that you.
Well, so I'm assuming that this is saying, do I think the state should have the power to do that? I don't think that the state should have that option because I don't trust them.
I don't trust that they'll do their due diligence to have the research to make sure that they got the right guy. But
They don't. In
ultimately,
fact, sometimes they've worked contrary to the evidence. Like there was
yeah,
this case in Texas of a guy who got accused of burning his house down and killing his family. DNA evidence came out and they still executed him. It proved that he was innocent. So
yeah.
I just, I'm just going to disagree. Anyway,
Okay. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I
man.
strongly disagree. I don't. I don't like. I don't like that narrative.
Well, it's true though. It's always been that way, but I'm not saying that I support it. That's just the way the humans organize themselves in a pyramid structure. But I'm not saying that one must. I'm just going to disagree.
Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art.
Strongly agree.
I strongly disagree.
What?
Yeah, I strongly disagree. As an artist, I don't feel it's our place to tell somebody what
That's
art is.
ridiculous, dude. I'm sure you've been in plenty of scenarios or at least seen plenty of things. You look at it and it's like, this is what's being propped up now. This is not art. Look at the music industry today. I mean, look at all the trash that's passes for art nowadays. You can call it art, but I
Yeah,
don't.
I absolutely agree with you on those things, but
That's
it's not
part.
our
That's part of
place
the
to say
destruction
that
of.
it's art.
That is part of the
It's not our
destruction.
place to say that it's not art.
Yes, it is. And then that means you're not part of the club. It's part of the systematic destruction of a culture.
I don't mean
That is
anything about
what it
being part of the
is.
club, but if people express themselves and what they consider to be artistic, who am I to say that what they've done isn't art?
It's part of a systematic destruction of a culture to start propping up stuff that's not even art and making it pass for art. So I feel very strongly about this.
Me too.
Let's
But
move
it's
on.
in a different. All right, next one. Uh, in the criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation.
I actually agree with that because that's the purpose. I don't
Yeah,
I don't think that the purpose of I don't believe it's the government's responsibility to rehabilitate you at all.
I believe that it's beneficial to us if the government does do it. But again,
Yeah.
like you say, I don't think it's their job.
What the
I
but the
think what's
point of it
most
is to
important
punish you.
is to give you a penalty that's so extreme that that you won't do it again.
I support rehabilitation, but I don't think it's the goal of it's
Yeah,
criminal justice because you did something wrong. You're getting it's supposed to be a punishment. Anyway, yeah.
it, it's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals.
Most people it's a waste of time. Most people.
Yeah, I strongly agree. You can't force somebody to rehabilitate. You just can't. And you shouldn't waste your time doing it. They have
It's
to
just
be
like the
ready
next
for it.
question. Look at the next one.
What's the next one?
It's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. I strongly agree.
Oh, yeah, we just did that one. Uh,
No, we just anyway.
oh,
We can.
I just read that one out. I said it's a waste of time to try to
Oh,
rehabilitate some criminals. And
oh, I thought you were just. Never mind. Let's go. Let's go to the next one.
the business person and the manufacturer are or more important than the writer and the artist.
Disagree. I
I
think they're
disagree.
equal.
Yeah, Mothers have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers.
Time to be a
I,
misogynist.
I
I agree with that.
disagree. I disagree because
Well, who's okay? Then whose first duty is it to the children? They can't
it's both
both
of the
have.
parents. You know, it's both of the
I
parents.
agree with that. Um,
I
I
mean,
mean,
they have
if a mother
careers.
makes their first duty their career, but they have kids, those kids are not going to turn out that great. They're going to be
True,
deprived.
true, but it's the same thing if their
If somebody
fathers
wants to
do the
be,
same
if
thing.
some no, it's not the same.
Are you
If
telling me that
somebody
this
is,
generation
this
of
is
people?
mothers specifically, not just women. If somebody is a mother, their first duty should be to their kids. I would say the
Oh,
same thing if the father was in that spot, but this is mothers specifically. So it's women with kids. If they put their careers before their children are
oh,
going to
okay.
suffer
Well, yeah, I can agree with that. Multinational companies are ethically exploiting the plant
unethically.
genetic resources of developing countries.
Dude, I
I don't
mean,
even understand that question.
I don't know. Maybe you could
They're
look at like Monsanto,
they're
the
exploiting
GMOs
the
and all that
plant
stuff.
genetic resources. What does that even mean?
I
Are
don't
we
know.
taking the plants from other countries and stripping its genomes?
I'm going to say disagree.
I don't even know what the fuck this means.
I think it's talking about genetically modified organisms or GMOs, but I don't think it's necessarily unethical because they're doing it to
What is that?
increase crop yield.
Plant genetic resources. I'm going to disagree because I don't understand the question. I don't know what it's saying. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity.
It depends on who the establishment is.
I gotta disagree because the
I'm gonna,
establishment isn't
yeah.
who you're supposed to make peace with. Make peace with yourself and your place in the world, and you'll be fine.
Okay, I'm on board. This is
If you got through that okay, you'll find these propositions of on religion a breeze. Astrology accurately explains many things.
strongly disagree.
I strongly disagree. Astrology is essentially useless.
It's basically stupid.
I mean, it's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun, but it's
it's
useless.
fun and women like it, so that's the only that's the only
You're
reason
showing
why
your
it's it.
misogyny again, Mr.
But
Williams.
I think it's stupid, and I even think the people who say that it's interesting are being ridiculous.
I love the lore behind it. You know, you
Yeah,
look at
but
you look.
no, but I'm saying it doesn't explain many things accurately.
I mean, yeah. If you want to talk about astrology as in the study of space,
That's
okay,
not
now we're
astrology,
talking
that's
about something.
astronomy.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Astrology is
Anyway, let's move
the
on.
numbers and the horoscope crap. Yeah, you cannot be moral without being religious.
Wait, hold on. You cannot. I disagree with that,
I
but not
disagree.
strongly.
You could be moral without being religious. I know many atheists that are not religious that have incredible character.
Yeah, it's just
Uh,
that their morals came from the same place ours do, and they just don't know it.
yeah.
Anyway,
Charity is better than social security as a means to helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I strongly agree.
agree. Yeah,
Some people are naturally unlucky.
disagree with that.
I disagree because I don't believe
You
in
make
luck.
your own luck. Luck is not. Yeah.
It is important that my child's school instills religious values. For me,
Well,
for
I have a
me,
kid. I think it's important.
it's important for me, but my kid would get those religious values from me, from home, because we'd be going to church. And,
Yeah, but you
and
don't want. Yeah, but you don't
I'm
want your school working
I'm going
counter
to
to you.
disagree. I'm going to disagree with it because I don't trust the religious values the school will try to instill in my
Well, it
kid.
depends on what school you send your kid to. Not a public school, certainly. The religious values they're teaching in public school now are wokeness, and those are religious values.
Yeah, it is.
But anyway, I'm just going to say no. I'd rather than remain neutral.
Yeah, I rather my school focus on teaching them how to be a productive member of society.
But I don't have a problem with the school teaching a class on religion and the Bible
Yeah,
from
and
an unbiased perspective.
allow me to have the decision on that, with the electives, you know?
Yeah.
Give me some school choice. Finally, we get to take a look at sex. Oh, yeah, this is the best part. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. I strongly
I
disagree.
hate to say it. I don't want to say this, but I think it is. And the reason why is because all of the negative ramifications that could come from that and most likely will
Yeah,
come
but the
from it.
negative ramifications come from stupidity. It's from stupid
I think
people.
that the way that it's practiced, only reason I'm saying this is because it hasn't turned out that great for me and most people who have practiced this activity. And,
Yeah, but I
you know,
wouldn't
that
say it's immoral.
what depends on what you think immoral means. Okay. I'll just, I'm only going to say that, but I feel like I'm not being truthful and I'm not, I don't know, man. It depends on who it is and it depends on the situation.
It would be
So,
really wonderful to have a neutral button.
yeah, it would be.
A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I strongly agree.
That's a
I don't see
difficult
any reason.
question, but I
I don't
think
see
I
any reason
agree.
why a same-sex couple
I
can't
well,
adopt a child.
it's I think it's a complicated question, but in general, I agree.
You know, I have family members that are same-sex and have kids, and they've raised them pretty fine. It depends on the couple, though. They have to be. This is the key word right here.
I just don't think it could be
They
as
have to be
stable.
stable, and
That's what I'm.
not only the relationship, but the individuals need to be stable. They can't be lunatics. And it's the same thing for straight people too. You can't be a
Statistically
fucking lunatic.
speaking, gay couples are more likely to be unstable. But
True.
in general, I don't have a. It's whatever.
Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population.
This is another one of those neutral ones, in my opinion, because I don't think the government should make law about it one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree just because I'm on the free market side of that. I disagree
I
because
think it's extremely detrimental for you to view it.
yeah, if it
To
was, but my disagreement comes from the fact that if it was legal, then it would be more in the hands of children than it would ever be in the hands of adults, just like the porn industry is right now anyway.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get behind the moralistic state argument, so I just have to say agree.
Yeah,
It's a the kids is the only thing that about that makes it more complicated, but we're just thinking of adults here. So
yeah. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. I
strongly
strongly
agree.
agree. Yeah, it's
That's
nobody's
kind of
business.
creepy, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like
it
what?
is. But on the other hand, if you come out and you make it the business of the state,
Yeah, then
then it's
maybe.
different. You know, like these stupid people that like to broadcast, like Hunter Biden, for example, likes to broadcast him snorting cocaine while he's getting a hooker to
Yeah, did you see
suck
that
him
picture?
off.
That picture I shared. I'll send it to you after we get done with this. It has Hunter. Elon Musk posted a picture of Twitter of this guy with like 60 cameras attached to his head, and
I see. I see
it
that
says
one.
Hunter Biden every time he gets cracking hookers.
No one can feel naturally homosexual.
I don't really know, but I think I disagree with that because I've met
I
people who
agree. I I think that homosexuality um has to come from a position of force. I mean, not force, but you have to actively want to be a homosexual. It's
that
not something that's
I'm not
natural.
saying that it doesn't say that it's natural. It says you can feel it like it's natural. I don't think it's natural, but I think somebody can feel like they think it's natural.
I don't think they feel that it's natural. I I don't know. I'm just gonna go for agree because I just don't think that it's a natural feeling. I think you have to
It's
make yourself
possible to
feel that way.
feel unnatural things.
Mm. People will hate me for it, but I don't give a fuck about what people think in the first place. Uh, These days, openness about sex has gone too far.
I
I strongly agree.
strongly agree.
Yeah, I
At this
strongly agree.
point, you're ridiculous if you don't think
At
it's
this
gone
point,
way too far.
we've borderline created our
Yeah.
society of depravity and debauchery.
There might have been a time when I wouldn't have agreed so strongly, but I definitely do now.
So let's see where we stand. Where am I?
Hmm.
Where am I? Am I over here?
I can't even see. All I can see is my screen.
Oh, yeah. Let me go down here. Let me see if I can get both screens up at the same time. I can see your screen. Let me do
I
advanced
actually have
here.
changed. I've moved further to the right and further up.
Where what? Okay, so mine has changed. Mine has changed. I'm still in the same position, like up. I'm libertarian on the right, but I have become far further right than you.
Yeah, I moved closer up. I moved further up the axis. I'm still libertarian right, but I moved further right and further authoritarian.
I moved further right, but I'm still at the same where I was up on the libertarian authoritarianism. So I'm still more authoritarian than you, but I'm now further right than you are. I've got this is mine. I've got a 3.7 on the economic, a 3.75 on economic left right. On social libertarian and authoritarian, I'm a negative 1.28.
So I just went to economic left right. I was at zero point 0.5 before, but now I'm at 2.63 in the right. And on social libertarian authoritarian, I'm at negative 2.26. When I used to be at like 5 or negative 5.
So when it came down to it the last time we took the test, I mean, I haven't changed very much, but I'm gone further to the right, which
I
I'm
think
a
that's
little bit.
probably because the left has just pushed us further right because they've
I think
gone.
I think so. The left has just made it so unappealing to to agree with them on anything.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's actually really funny. You're becoming more authoritarian. You are a dictator.
yeah, I'm still in right libertarian.
Yeah,
Anyway,
see, you see my screen now?
yeah.
Yeah, this is where I'm at now. Let me stop the screen share.
Just
Yeah,
happened.
I'm a little I'm a little surprised that I wasn't further left this time. I'm surprised I went that far right because the last time I was almost dead center, like almost practically in the center.
Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, I got to go cook and then go to bed.
Well, we've had a fun show. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on everywhere else. This has been Destroy America with Payson Williams. Follow us everywhere, Destroy America, PW. We'll see you all next.